Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dylan James. Thank you for being here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about dealing with emotions, how to do that, and also maintain your focus. And so if this is your first time here, my name is Dylan James. Thank you for tuning in. And I am a mindset coach. To give a little bit of background about me, I'm 27 years old. I am a biochemistry major, currently going to CSU Channel Islands, and I am studying to go to medical school. And so this channel is a combination of, what I've understood about manifestation, how I've approached my healing journey, and really, I like to focus on helping people make those adjustments in their life so that they can experience massive transformation. And it's all things that I've applied to myself that have got me to where I am, and the relationship that I desire, in the scholarly direction that I desire, financial position, and the friendships and relationships that I have. So good morning, AJ. Hello, Rise to the Top. So a lot of what I talk about, like I said, deals with the mental, emotional components that go into goal achievement and being able to get what you want out of life. So I did want to say this morning while I was meditating, I was thinking about the podcast that I put out yesterday. So consistently realigning back to a state, right? And while I'm talking about these concepts, and I know that you understand them, I think that I want to put out some tools for what that actually means. So I'm thinking of writing up a worksheet that you are going to use to form this new self-concept. So on that worksheet is going to be like, what are my values? Where do I see myself? What type of life am I going to have? What type of relationship? How are my friend groups going to be? And so what it will be is essentially a roadmap for you to build your self-concept. And so you can look at the values that you list. So something like respect, being honorable, being respectable, right? So whatever your values are, you get the point. And then using those values, whatever you come up with, as your affirmations, right? Or that when we think about realignment, okay? So am I acting in alignment to my values? Am I acting in alignment to my goals? Am I acting in alignment to the type of friend that I want to be and the type of friendships that I want to receive? So I think I'm going to make that worksheet, and then I will post that on my channel, and it's something that you can access for free. And that's going to be what I'm talking about when I say realignment back to that state. Because what you want to recognize when it comes to mindset work is it's not that you're trying to change the people or the circumstances in your reality. You're trying to become the version of yourself that is receptive, that is able to maintain, achieve, and really cultivate that environment, that lifestyle, the goal achievement, whatever it may be. And so a component of that is, yes, working towards it, but even bigger than that is maintaining that inner knowing and becoming it, right? Because becoming it is how we receive, right? We can only get what we are willing to be. And in this video, I want to talk about Neville Goddard for a moment. So feeling is the secret, and how that relates to emotional healing, and then also, combining the mindset of what you should do along that journey. Okay. So that's going to be what we talk about in this video. And in this live stream. And if there's people walking in and out, please don't mind it. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Yeah. So good morning. I know it's early, but what do I want to specialize in? Okay. So I actually want to specialize in family medicine. And the reason why I want to specialize in family medicine is because money has never really been a motivating factor for me going into the medical field. And money is not something that I feel I have a bad relationship with. So obviously different specialties make different amounts of money, and typically family medicine is more on the lower side. So I feel like I kind of need to explain why I would pick family medicine a bit, because most people, when they think of becoming a doctor, they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to make $500,000 a year. Well, in some specialties, yes, but that's not really my motivating factor. So for instance, with me, obviously I'm into mindset work. Obviously I've studied a lot of psychology on my own. And the branch, there's two ways that you can become a doctor. You can become allopathic or osteopathic. So osteopathic medicine is a lot more intriguing to me, because osteopathic medicine is not just treating the illness, it's trying to find the cause. And I feel a lot of cause for our illness does start in the mind, right? So not having the best beliefs or concept of self or all these things which manifest as behaviors that are destructive, maybe not eating well, maybe not sleeping enough, maybe not putting yourself in environments that are healthy, that lead to illness or put you in those positions. Obviously, genetic illnesses are a completely different topic, but so for me, family medicine is something where I get to, people think of family medicine doctors as people that recommend out, right? So you go there and you get a recommendation to a specialist. But I like the ability to really be kind of like almost a primary care, to where people can come to me from all ages, all different types of problems, and based on what I'm trained in, what I feel comfortable doing, then I can really interact with a whole bunch of different people and practice, a few different specialties of medicine, but also kind of have that focus on psychology as well. And so for me, medicine is something where, I don't ever want to be a doctor where people feel like they're just another patient, like I really am heavily focused on that deep, connection and wanting to get to the root. And I feel that family medicine is also something that provides me the ability to have a balanced work life, because relationships is something that are very, very important to me, obviously, because I have a whole channel dedicated to creating great relationships in your life. So, I don't want to be in a hospital 80, 90 hours a week while my husband and the kids are at home. So family medicine is something that you can do Monday through Friday. You have a great sign-on bonus. You typically start off at about $200,000 a year. And, I get the weekends off and yeah, so that is my motivating factors for family medicine and why that's something that I want to specialize in. Okay, so back to today's topic. Thank you for that great question. And if you have any questions surrounding mindset or circumstances that are going on in your life, then please feel free to hop in the chat and ask them. Okay, so like I was saying, I want to talk about Neville Goddard for a moment and feeling is the secret, because obviously on my channel, I'm talking about mindset and goal achievement and manifesting the things that you want from your life. But I've also put a major focus on the emotional healing component. So I know that it can be kind of confusing in the sense of, if I need to feel what I want to experience, but I'm not feeling it, I'm not in a good space, then like, how is continuing to feel this going to manifest the result that I desire, right? And that's logical. That's a logical way of thinking. And I totally understand when people have that pushback when it comes to sitting with emotions, right? But you have to see that you have to release the biggest word of advice I can give you is to release the urgency on the need for your physical circumstances to change, okay? The reason why you want to feel or change so badly is because of the circumstances and the pressure that you're experiencing. And so you're placing time as a condition on yourself, right? And so you want to just get to a state and you want to see things change, and that makes sense. But if you can release the need for the physical to change and you can hone more into the understanding that your state of being is creating, and in order for something to change, you need to change. And when we think about change is kind of linear in the sense that it's a process, right? So there's a lot of people that say, oh, you're going to wake up and be in a brand new life, right? Like everything is going to be perfect, and that's great. And it sounds amazing. But in my experience, it's typically not that way, right? And if somebody's telling you that you're going to have this great, amazing life and it's going to be easy and it's going to be fast and you're just going to wake up and your entire life is going to be different, they are most likely trying to sell you something, okay? There's always a catch. So my understanding of it is, and how I've applied it in my life, is releasing the attachment to the physical, the attachment to what it is that I want to achieve and how quickly I want to achieve it, and go more into where am I right now and what do I need to do to shift to get to that feeling state where I am receptive and able to achieve and maintain whatever it is that I want. And in my experience, the only way to do that is to go through it, right? So when we bring a hyper focus and awareness to something, awareness to a state of being, and we sit with it and we allow it, it's that allowance that allows for us to move through it. So what I'm trying to say here, and in regards to, feeling is the secret and your state of being and all those things, is you release the attachment to the physical changes that you want to experience and really go through where you are right now. Okay. So if I'm not feeling good and I want to experience something better, then by allowing myself to not feel good, by completely accepting it, I'm no longer fighting it with resistance. And this may come up as crying or anger or whatever it may be. This is a balancing act. Okay. So yes, you want to sit with it, right? Sit with it, accept it, but gear your mind in that new direction. So I know that going through this, right, I'm going to feel better. So I'm going to release the need to feel better immediately. I'm going to release the need to see the change immediately. And I'm going to honor where I am, but also maintain the mindset and start affirming in those changes that you want to see in yourself, because you don't want to fall into the rut of, triggering yourself and getting into a deep emotional state of distress and getting stuck there. And that's why I also say on my channel, working with a therapist can be very helpful, because they can help monitor that process and help move you through it as well. A coach can help us too. But my concern is that people are taking coaching and replacing it for mental health therapy, right? Clinical therapy. And so a coach is really here to help guide you and help you see where you're going to go, help you formulate that plan, help you really address those thoughts. But in terms of the emotional healing component, I feel that it can get a little bit dangerous if you just rely on a coach and you're in a really low state of being. So you want to definitely make sure that you get the appropriate mental health evaluation, mental health help, so that you can maximize your results. Because most of the people that I work with, pretty much all of them, have a therapist, right? So they're working with somebody that can help them process their emotions. And then I'm there to help them in those moments where maybe something comes up and they just need a different perspective, a little shift for them to feel better and really see where they're going. Okay. Now, when we go back to the main topic of what I'm talking about here, so feeling is a secret, you can't fake a feeling, right? And so a lot of what the even bigger kind of manifestation channels talk about is stabilizing your state of being, right? And so when it comes to stabilizing yourself and getting into a space where you feel good, that is through complete acceptance. And in that acceptance, knowing that it's not permanent, okay? Somebody asked me on my channel today on a comment, do I still recommend the process of surrender and the emotional healing? So there's ways that you can do this. There's EFT tapping, there's meditation, there's sitting with the emotion, allowing it to come up and bringing the awareness and the acceptance of it that allows for it to dissolve. So I absolutely recommend dealing with repressed emotions, suppressed emotions, healing them. It's just the way that you do it too, right? So make sure that when you're going through your healing process, when you get triggered or something comes up, that you're dealing with it, but you're also having the perspective, the mindset shift of affirming in the change that you are becoming. So let's say I'm feeling insecure. Okay, let me give an example of this. Let's say I'm feeling insecure. And so I'm getting triggered and I feel insecure. How I would handle that is allow the feeling to be there. Okay, I'm feeling this, it's fine. And in my mind, as I'm allowing it, I'm also affirming in, I'm completely secure. I'm completely secure. I'm completely secure. I am wanted. Everything is okay. I am safe. The answers are coming to me. So it's this allowance of the emotion while having the perspective and the ability to gear your mind in the direction that you want to see the change within yourself. And then as as these feelings dissolve and you're gearing your mind in that direction, you're going to feel better. And you're going to actually start to believe and feel the affirmations that you're saying and act on it. And that's where that feeling shift causes it to manifest differently. Okay. And then from there on out, it's just a maintenance. Okay. So I hope that answers that question surrounding emotional healing. And I just want to say this lighting makes me look so pale. And y'all, I need to go get a tan. So don't judge me. Okay. I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I look like Casper the Ghost. But still kind of cute, right? Still kind of cute. Anyways, so that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about this morning, is dealing with that emotional component and maintaining the focus in the correct direction. Okay, and a lot of this comes back to trust. So one thing that I find really helpful that I do every single day is I will bring the word trust into my mind. And that is In my opinion, that's the same as when people say, um, being unbothered, right? Okay, so that's a huge kind of mindset that's going on right now is be completely unbothered, right? Well, how do you be completely unbothered when things are triggering you? Okay, well, if you trust, okay, if I trust and I really understand how manifestation works, then I know everything is constantly changing, right? Everything is constantly changing. And so when we're not trusting, then what happens is we get hooked up on circumstances. We get kind of knocked down by them. We get triggered by them. And then we feel like we don't see a way out of this situation, right? And so the key to being unbothered is really establishing trust with yourself and trust in the knowing that what's going to happen will change. And it's that mindset and perspective shift that allows for you to not give power away or feel disempowered, because anything can be happening to me, but if I have deep trust that I'm going to be able to figure it out, or I have deep trust that I know it's going to change, or I have deep trust that it's not permanent, then I'm not going to waste my emotional and mental energy trying to figure out how to change it. Obviously, if I need to take action, I'm going to do it. But at the core of my state of being, I'm able to keep myself stable and unaffected by those things and aware of how I'm reacting to things and what I want to give energy to and what I don't want to give energy to. And I think that's really what people are moving towards when they say be unbothered, because it's not that things are not going to be bothersome. It's more about deciding the amount of importance that you want to place on it and whether or not you want to see it as an obstacle that gives you the excuse to give up, right? So if we can give up, if we can excuse it, if our mind, that the path of least resistance is kind of to give up, right? Like going through change is difficult. And it requires a lot of persistence, and it requires a lot of daily maintenance, and it requires a lot of grit, right? I think that's the best word. It requires a lot of grit. And so when circumstances pop up and you're bothered by them, you're almost giving yourself an excuse to give up. Okay. And so maintaining this deep trust, maintaining a state of being that's stable, no longer allows circumstances to make you feel like, yeah, I just can't do this. Because the moment you believe you can't do it is the moment that's going to become your reality. Okay. So you have to really understand that trust is important, because if I trust myself, if I feel good, if I don't allow these circumstances to knock me down, then it's going to be much, much, much easier for me to access a consciousness level where the answer to my solution becomes apparent, right? And so when we think about manifestation, what it is you're accessing higher consciousness, you're having a light bulb moment, something is going off where you just understand, oh, this, I should try this. I haven't tried this before. It's going to be very difficult to access that, though, if you're just so bothered by everything and you're kind of giving into the circumstances and feeling like you should give up or you don't see a way. Because I keep telling myself, how is this going to change? How is this going to change? How is this going to change? I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. Then I'm going to continue to stay in a state where I don't see how it's going to change, never giving me the opportunity to allow kind of the inspiration to come to me. Okay, so trust is very important with that. All right. Now, last thing that I want to talk about is, what is the difference? I don't think I've heard anybody talk about this before on YouTube, and it came to me while I was meditating today. What is the difference between inspired action and being in a state of mania? Okay, because I do talk about psychology here, and if you've ever dealt with manic states, okay, manic states come over you and really are a driving force that can last days, months, weeks, months, right? And so manic states are a mental condition. And like I said, I'm not a licensed psychologist, so please do not replace anything that I'm saying here as a form of mental health therapy or treatment. This is just me speaking from my experience. So we want to be aware that, if the inspired action we're taking is coming from a place of stability or if it's coming from a space of mania. And typically when you're in states of distress, like manic states can manifest. So manic states are very, very explosive. They're very like not stable. And so manic states are where you wake up, maybe you're not sleeping as well, and you're hyper focused on a task for long periods of time, and you're not thinking logically or rationally, and you're really living through your inspired feelings and not being rational. Okay. So inspired action is something that is, it feels logical. You see why you should take it, you understand it, and you're able to observe it and act on it with no urgency. That's the best way that I can explain it. Okay. So when we're taking inspired action, it's coming from a space that is very confident, that's very grounded. There's no sense of urgency. It's this knowing of like, you know what, I'm going to try this right now. Maybe I have some other obligations to get to, so let me do that. But yeah, I feel good. I feel confident with this. Manic states are, you're not taking into account your obligations. You're feeling a huge sense of urgency. You're spiraling. And so you want to be aware and conscious of yourself, because you don't want to, especially if you're in a really low state of being, you don't want to be causing more destruction in your life because you're not thinking rationally or logically, and you're taking actions that feel inspired, but you're mistaking it for inspired action when it could just be manic, right? And so just be aware of that, okay? All right. What's a good way to get clear on what you want to do with your life, discovering passions and career paths? I realize I've created resistance around it because I've made it too important. All right. So when it comes to, this is so funny because this is actually something that I was meditating on earlier today. So for instance, with myself, okay, I'm going to speak from my own experience. So I started off, wanting to be a nurse. And then I got about 3 years of my undergrad done in biochemistry. And my plan was to become either a physician's assistant or a doctor. Okay. And then I made my YouTube channel surrounding mindset work. And it's not that I let go of the desire to be a doctor, but it wasn't my main focus, right? So we have all these different things that we like, right? And then when it comes down to deciding what we want to do with our life, I really feel, and in my experience, whatever your calling is, whatever you're meant to do, it will continue to show up. Okay. And so the thing is, like, we can become a new version of ourselves. We can raise the bar and do things that, we didn't believe were achievable, but there's something that you're meant to do. There's something that you love. There's something that is a spark within you that draws life out of you that you feel passionate about. Okay. So for myself, I took the focus off of being a doctor and was really focused on developing my business and all, developing the coaching and all of that. Now, when I met my boyfriend, okay, he literally, without knowing me, right? Complete stranger to him. He was like, I could really see you being a physician's assistant, or I could really see you being a doctor. And I just laughed because I'm like, what are the odds that just what are the chances that some stranger is going to tell me this? And I was already going back to school at that point. And so for me, how I've learned about it is whatever your calling is, it's going to continue to show up. It's going to continue to kind of come back to you and make itself apparent. Like, you may go off into other ventures, but whatever your true purpose is here is going to continue to show up and remind you of like, hey, don't forget about this. Keep this in your focus. Now, when it comes to discovering your passions, let's say you're not sure, maybe you aren't sure, that's where you want to do some sort of exercises that you understand what you love, okay? So look at the things that you're drawn to. Maybe you like art, maybe you like sciences, maybe you like history, whatever you like, okay? You want to look at what you like, okay, and figure out how you can turn that into a career. Because if you just go, for instance, with myself going into being a doctor, family medicine, right? As I was talking about earlier, family medicine is not a branch of medicine that makes a lot of money. I mean, $200,000 a year is a good amount of money, but it's not something like $500,000 a year that a surgeon would be making. But my motivating factor for medicine isn't money. My motivating factor for medicine is that I love helping people, and I am fascinated with sciences and the body and how the mind and body work and how illnesses arise. And I find treating causation as, something that is just inspiring to me, right? So for that, like, I really looked at all the things that I like in my life. I like learning about sciences. I like helping people. I want to be respectable. I want, when people talk to me, to understand that what I'm talking about is logical and it's backed up by science and it's something that's applicable and you can see results. Those are all things that I love. And so medicine, for me, it was easy to pick. And the thing with deciding your career goal or your career path is recognizing that the path is not always going to be fun. It requires a lot of grit in order to be successful. So there's definitely moments where I take classes and I'm like, I freaking hate this. Like, this is not fun for me. I do not want it. Everything inside of me, like, it's almost like I throw a temper tantrum at the idea of having to study for some of these classes. But, okay, the thing is, the reason why I'm able to show up and work through the resistance is because my overall goal is bigger than the discomfort that I'm going to experience in these moments where I have to do things that are not fun. Okay. And that's why it's very, very important for you to look at things that you like. Because if you like something, right, if it's something that you're very passionate about, then the learning process and the growth process on that journey are going to become much more manageable, and you're not going to crumble at the sight of difficulties or circumstances or just challenges that pop up. Okay. So sit down with yourself and write, what do I like? What am I inspired by? What makes me happy? What can I see myself doing? And no matter how big that dream may be, no matter how far away it may seem, it is achievable. And the only way it's going to be achievable is by harnessing the passion that you have towards that thing, because that passion is going to be what allows for you to persist through those moments where you practice, master. And when you want to give up, instead of giving in to those feelings of procrastination or laziness, you can refer back to, why did I begin? What about this here is driving me to do these things even when I don't want to do them? And that's where you're able to maintain that inner focus. You're able to realign. Okay. So I was talking about realignment in my podcast yesterday. You're able to outside of the scope of the current circumstances that are going on, let me realign with the purpose of why I'm doing this. Let me realign with my values. Let me realign with that self-concept. And it's in that realignment that you see through the circumstances, and you're able to do what you need to do in order to stay aligned to your goals and actually manifesting and achieving them. Okay. Thank you, Tara, I think I said it incorrectly, Tara, for being here. I really appreciate all the support that I get on my channel. Thank you for all the thumbs up and new subscribers. I'm so grateful for you. Hi, Dylan. It's been a long time. I had an argument with my boyfriend and we broke up. I want to be about to release the sadness and move on to something better. Okay. And so, breakups are a very heightened emotional time, right? And so the biggest advice that I can give for you is to honor your sadness. When we go through this leveling up journey and creating a new self-concept, there's going to be things that you let go of, right? And letting go of something is a grieving process. Okay. So there's going to be moments where you're sad. There's going to be moments where you want the person. There's going to be moments where you're thinking about memories. And I think the biggest thing is to be okay with that, right? Like, it's okay for me to be sad about this, but I'm changing and I'm growing into somebody better, somebody that I want to be, and somebody that's going to be able to get the relationship that I want. And so, yes, it may be a sad moment, a sad process, but kind of going back to what I was just saying, realigning to the higher purpose here, you're able to move through that sadness because it's that understanding of, I'm respecting myself, I'm honoring myself, I'm leveling up in what I know I deserve. And, as this may be sad and as difficult as it may be to let go of somebody, I'm doing this for the betterment of myself. And so it's okay for me to go through this process. And I know that I'm going to actually get the relationship that I deserve. And so this is where, the mindset work can become very important, because now what you should do is sit down with yourself, honor the sadness, but really ask yourself, what are my values? What do I want from a relationship? What do I deserve? And how do I want to show up as the version of myself that can maintain that and achieve it in my life? And become very clear with that, and use this time to build that self-concept of, I'm respecting myself. I'm always respected. I am receiving love. I am having amazing communication. I'm open to these new opportunities. Really build that self-concept as you go through the sadness and as you honor it. And like I said, some days may be harder than others. Some days you may be completely crying and missing this person. And it's about keeping that keen awareness on the knowing that you're going to go through this and come out of it so much better and stronger, and just really allowing that and keeping your focus on that. the biggest thing is to not spiral, right? So spiral into depression or spiral even into a mindset of, I'm never going to find somebody that's going to love me that way. I think this is one of the biggest concerns that people have. Okay. I'm never going to find somebody like this person. Well, first off, that's great because this person wasn't working for you. Okay. Second off, there's a limiting belief that's going on here that's causing this mindset. And that limiting belief is that love and finding somebody that is going to love me is difficult, right? That is the limiting belief that's manifesting as this experience. There are almost 8 billion people on this earth. I can guarantee with 100% certainty that you will be able to find another person that loves you, that is so interested in you, and that treats you with the love and the respect that you deserve. And so the issue here is getting past that mindset that this is the only person for me. Well, before you met them, I'm sure there was somebody else you felt like that about. And after you meet them, there's going to be somebody else that you feel that way about. And so you need to scope out of the current circumstances and really ask yourself, am I thinking about this properly? Am I imposing limiting beliefs on myself? And that's where you're going to be able to prevent yourself from spiraling into this self-doubt and sadness and fear of, I'm never going to be happy. I'm never going to meet somebody like that. It's a lie. It's a complete lie. Okay. So I just wanted to share that. Okay. So you got this. Honor your emotions and build yourself. Okay. Dylan, I love that you want to do primary care and family care medicine. It's so needed. Yes, I've been hearing that a lot too. And it's so funny because, I do a lot of research as well. So I look into, in terms of medicine, like specialties, like what are the job ratios? And like when you get super specialized, if you're looking into pediatrics or something like that, there's not as many job postings. But family care, there's like hundreds and hundreds, and the benefits are amazing. So if anybody's thinking about going into medicine, I highly recommend it. Obviously, money should not be your motivating factor, but there's even jobs that I've seen that are like, we'll give you a $200,000 sign-on bonus towards your schooling, and then we'll give you $200,000 a year, which is amazing because, for instance, with myself, by the time I graduate medical school, I'm going to have about $300,000 worth of student loans. And I pay for everything on my own, right? So that's where, for me and making these decisions in my life, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. Let's get out of mindset work for a moment and talk about investing in yourself. A lot of people are afraid to go to school. A lot of people are feeling like they're not in the financial standing to do that. And yes, you may have to take out loans, but you need to understand that having a degree and learning something in a university setting, not only does it gear your mind into a growth mindset, but it also opens up the opportunities and the potential to get the jobs that are going to be able to pay off your student debt and provide you with the lifestyle and the life that you desire. Okay. So whenever you're thinking about making an investment in yourself and you're looking at the cost analysis versus the payoff, maybe you won't see the payoff right away, but you have to think long term. Okay, so how is this investment in myself going to pay off in the long term? And that's really how I've approached making these decisions in my life, because obviously taking out $300,000 worth of loans for schooling is going to be a risk. But then I also think the only way it's a risk is if I default on myself. And the only way I'm going to default on myself is if I don't make the time to study and I don't apply myself and I don't maintain the mindset that I need to maintain in order to achieve my goal. So that's why I say in all of my content, it comes back to trusting yourself. Because if I trust myself, then I'm going to show up and do the things I need to do in order to get what I want out of life. Okay. If I don't trust myself, then I'm going to procrastinate, I'm going to avoid, and I'm going to get myself into situations where the investment that I'm making in myself doesn't pay off because I'm not doing the work to make the investment work for me. Okay. All right. So when you change your state or intend to elevate, do you notice your reality changing, or is it not surprising? Confused about that. You do notice your reality changing, and you have to see that what it is your perception of your reality is changing. Now, physical changes can obviously occur too. Maybe you come to realizations that you've been settling for something that, is no longer, like you just don't think you deserve that anymore. And so you may like change a job or choose a different path in your life. But what it really is your perception is shifting. Okay. Because you have to see that you're perceiving everything through your state of being. Okay. So I talked about this in my live stream yesterday. If I'm sad, then I'm going to perceive everything through the lens of sadness. Okay. So it's kind of like going out into your reality and every day is a cloudy day, right? When in reality, somebody else that has a state of being that's happy, they can have the same exact day, walk out, same exact weather, and they perceive it as happy and sunny, right? So it's really about understanding that when you change your state and you intend to elevate, yes, there are physical changes that occur, but it's more your perception of reality, because you have to see your perception is the driving force of your life. And so this is where misunderstandings occur. Um, Fights with people that are unintended occur is because you're perceiving reality through your state of being, and how people are showing up or what they're intending to be is your perception of them, and who they are or how the situation is are not matching. And that's where a lot of conflict arises, because no matter how bad you want to achieve something, if you're not in the state of being of achievement or the perception field of being able to achieve it, then you're always going to perceive things as not working for you, as very difficult, as unachievable. And the moment that you perceive it that way, that becomes your reality, and your mind creates the excuses and the circumstances and the reasons for why you're not going to be able to achieve it, and you believe it, and that becomes your life. Okay. So I know that that's like very, very summed up and can sound very like kind of abrasive and upfront, but I'm just telling you based on my experience, like that's really how simple and how difficult it is. And that is why it is important to maintain the proper mindset, because if you don't maintain the proper mindset and you start perceiving your reality from a lower state of being, and then through that perception, you act on it, then you're going to create a lot more problems, a lot more difficulty. You're going to stay in situations that you should not have stayed in for much longer than you should have stayed in them for. And it's going to kind of put you behind in life. And so, the message that I want to spread here is like, I've been behind in life and I'm over it. Like I understand these things. And this is just my personal understanding as to when I've looked back at my experiences and where I went wrong. 99% of the time, it was my perception, my self-concept, my internal dialogue, my allowance of things that were not true for me, like did not, at the core of what I knew I deserved, or what I believed I deserved. But like, you can consciously believe you deserve something, but unconsciously believe you don't. I hope that makes sense. And so through all of my experiences, really just coming to that realization of like, wow, I've just been perceiving my reality and doubting myself. That is the root of most cause, is just this disbelief in yourself, this lack of confidence, and then this perception of yourself that you continue to experience. Okay. So yeah, you're going to experience changes, and things do manifest, like things very manifest synchronistically, and things line up too. That's a part of it. But a huge portion of this is changing your perception of reality, because how you perceive it is going to be your experience. You're going to create from your perception. And that's where you get stuck in those cycles of repeated, bad relationships, not being able to achieve your goals, and not really living the life that you're worthy of living. Okay. I need to improve myself. I'm letting my specific person go. I hope she's happy. And I love that, because that should be how relationships are, right? So, it's not about becoming attached to a person. If you really love somebody, then as cliche as it sounds, you love them enough to let them go, because love is not dependent on how somebody's showing up, their presence in your reality or their lack of presence in your reality. It's more about, love is like a good feeling, right? And so if I love somebody, but I love them to the point where I'm miserable, then I don't know if I would say that's love. I would say that's more attachment, right? I'm attached to this person. All right. And so that's where you want to be aware of, if I really actually love them, if I really want them to be happy, and I wanted to be happy, and I want to shift into a state of love, and I want to experience that in my reality, then would it be necessary for me to let this go? And yeah, it would be, because the thing is, if you love this person, you two end up together, then you letting it go is going to allow for you to shift the focus back to yourself. This is why I have a lot of This is why I have a lot of kind of pushback when it comes to specific person, getting a specific person, because your focus is on getting the person, okay? But the only thing that creates in your reality is you. So when you don't let go of somebody and every day all your thoughts are about how can I get them? What can I do? What are they doing? What's going on? You are misusing the very precious mental and emotional energy that you have, right? So I can only place my focus in one direction, right? And where I place my focus is going to be what I create as my experience. So when we think about productively using our focus, focusing on trying to get somebody or thinking about them all the time is not productive. It's not moving me. It's not building me. And the only way that I get things in my reality is by becoming a version of myself that's receptive to receiving it. This is why letting go is so important. Because if I let go and I truly trust and I know, yes, we're going to end up together, and I bring all the focus back to myself and work on myself and build myself, then I'm becoming the version of myself that's receptive and capable for that to occur. So the focus always needs to be on yourself, and letting somebody go is what allows for you to shift that focus back to self. Okay. What about right now when nothing is going on in the world, lockdown and everything? Well, there's so many different opportunities. Okay. So yes, the world may be locked down, but that's also getting into the state of seeing that the circumstances in front of you are more powerful than you. Okay. So even though the world is locked down, that's not stopping me from sitting here and studying, right? That's not stopping me from every day choosing better beliefs. That's not stopping me from every day doing meditations and gearing myself in that direction. That's not stopping me from, meeting new people. So it really is the limitation that you place on yourself. If you allow everything that's going on in the world to dictate whether or not you're going to be able to achieve something, whether or not you should try to achieve something, then you're never going to achieve it. You have to see the focus has to be on self. This is what I'm creating in this world. This is the fingerprint that I'm leaving on this world once I'm gone from here. And so what should I do today in order to master that more and more and more? What do I need to sit down and learn? What do I need to sit down and read? What do I need to sit down and change in my mindset? What do I need to have clarity on within myself? How can I grow today? And the world's not always going to be like this, right? So that's another component too, is like, if you're waiting for the world to be what you need it to be to achieve, it's never going to be that. You have to create it. You have to be the change you seek to experience. So you can't wait for the world to catch up, right? You can't wait for the world to become something. The world has to catch up to you. And that's what a lot of these amazing artists are doing. Okay, so let's look at from the stance of music, right? These breakout artists, they're not waiting for people to like them. They are practicing their craft, believing in themselves, believing in themselves. And then they put out an artwork, a masterpiece, and the entire world becomes their stage. And they shift the world to really appreciating them and indulging in their art, or whatever it may be. A doctor, right? Becoming the best doctor, or becoming the best dentist, or becoming the best, parent, whether that, that's something too. So if you're waiting for the world, you're always going to be waiting. Okay. Take your focus off the circumstances, put it on yourself. Okay. Alrighty. Great questions. Thank you, everybody that's for here. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. Thank you for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. Are there any other topics that you would like to cover while I'm here? Okay. I'm not seeing any comments. So I am going to be putting out some meditations today. And so that's going to be like things that you can apply into your daily routine as well, that are going to help you shift your self-concept. And let's see, how have I been, and will I be more interactive in the group? So I'm at a standstill with the Facebook group, because the Facebook group has about like close to 5,000 members. But a lot of the members that are in the Facebook group are just because the Facebook group is so popular on Facebook. So people are searching manifestation, mindset manifestation, And because there's so many members in our group, it's one of the first groups that pop up. Okay. So I get like at least 100 member requests a week, but they're not people, like they're just random people that are spewing this law of attraction jargon that is just not community based. So I'm at a standstill because I do think that having a Facebook group or a community is something that's important, and I would love to check in. So I'm deciding whether or not I want to create a new one, and just have, you know, the following that I have right now kind of go into that new space so that it feels more like connected and interactive, instead of having all these like random people in there that are just joining because they search it on Facebook, which is not bad, but it's just no structure to it. So I think what I'm going to do is create a new group and really be active in there too, with live streams and activities and building exercises. So I've been doing really great. You know, I took classes over the winter and I got good grades in that. I have an amazing relationship. Money is going amazing. My coaching business is great. And, you know, everything is unfolding in my reality in a way that is beautiful. And I meditate every day. I take care of my body. I'm aware of what I'm eating. I'm really aware of how I'm feeling and shifting myself back into alignment. So everything's unfolding great. And it's so funny. So I want to share a little antidote about, you know, alignment. Okay. So with my boyfriend, for instance, I shifted my state into a space of love. Okay. And I was not looking for a relationship. Okay. But I will say, you know, I wanted to put myself out there just because I wanted like attention. That's it. Purely, I just wanted attention. I wasn't looking for like specific. I was just like, you know, it'd be really nice for guys to compliment me and like, you know, just talk or whatever. But even then when I did that, I wasn't like responding to anybody. It was more just like, oh, great. Like this person thinks I'm cute. That feels good. Okay. Now, I was listening to a podcast on stoicism at that time, and my now boyfriend messaged me and he was talking about stoicism. And I was like, okay, this is something synchronizing here, because there's no, it's too, you know, it's not random, right? Like there's something synchronizing here. The fact that I'm listening to stoicism and this guy is talking to me about stoicism, like, let me give him my attention. And come to find out, he lives maybe 15 minutes from my university. Okay. So I'm starting again at my university in the fall, and I'm taking online classes right now. So I'm going to be moving to Channel Islands, this new location, in about 4 months, but he already lives there. So that was cool. Okay. So you already live where I'm going to be moving. We have the same exact values. He actually wants to be a doctor as well. And he's into mindset work, and he's gone to therapy and understand these topics. So that's what I mean when I say things are going to synchronize and show up in a way that's from alignment. Because there's no way that, like, I don't know, like just everything that unfolds between us is so, our values are the same, our career goals are the same, mindset is the same. We both love working out, so we go to the gym together. We literally eat the same exact foods, and we meal prep and do all these things together. And like that just came to me. And the reason why I was able to notice it was not because I was trying to create it. It was because I was developing myself, right? And then something manifested in my environment that synchronized, and I brought my attention to it, and it was great. And so that's what I mean when I say you're going to see things just kind of unfold or synchronize in a way, but that wasn't necessarily intentional. It just manifested, right? And that's really how manifestation works. Like it just unfolds and it's aligned and it feels good. And there's not really trying. There's more this focus on yourself, focus on yourself, focus on yourself, and developing yourself that allows for it to unfold in your reality and synchronize in a way that leads you to exactly what you desire to experience. Okay. All right. I always go back to the group, but yes, I also noticed the dynamics have changed by a lot of people are still there for change and growth. Yes. So I think I am going to make a new Facebook group. Excited for these meditations. Yay. I'm excited to make them too. So please review how to get over your emotional sadness, stuckness, and repetitive sad, hurtful thoughts from the past, even though you have let go of the person and want to move on. So, if you're noticing that you're having a lot of thoughts, then this is where listening to affirmations while you sleep is going to help. Okay. So you need to be aware of the state that you're in. Okay. So I'm sad and I'm feeling stuck. Okay. That's where I am. I accept it. I'm not going to fight it. I accept it. But what are some better feeling thoughts that I can have? How can I build through this? Because the more you allow yourself to entertain those sad and hurtful thoughts, the more you're going to stay there, right? So you have to allow the emotion you're feeling, but start to choose better thoughts. Okay. So I'm disciplined. I am doing this. I'm feeling good. I'm growing every day. I'm getting happier and happier and happier. Everything is working. I'm feeling good. I'm trusting. I'm allowing. Okay. So really saturate yourself with these new thoughts, do some meditations, and then start creating a plan for your day as well. Okay. So do something that, physical activity wise, maybe if it's stretching or yoga, and create a plan for your day and start moving towards being productive. Okay. So we get stuck in these ruts of emotional sadness and these thoughts because we're treating every day the same. Okay. So the change has to be you. So through accepting your state and choosing better thoughts and creating a plan for your day and not approaching it from the sense of I have to be perfect, but at least creating some movement in your reality, that movement is going to start to kind of snowball, and it's going to get easier and easier and easier to become more and more and more productive. And it's going to become easier and easier and easier to think of these new thoughts. And then all of a sudden you're going to become this new version of yourself. And those old thoughts, you just don't really relate to them. And as you're doing this, your state of being is shifting too, because you're not fighting it. You're allowing it. You're choosing new thoughts. You're creating a plan for the day. You start incrementally shifting in your state of being as well. So that would be my approach, is to really, allow, right? So do meditations that are for healing your inner child. Do meditations that are allowing for allowance. So allow yourself to feel those emotions in bits and pieces. And then choose better thoughts. So do some affirmations, affirm in new thoughts, listen to affirmation tapes while you're sleeping that are about trusting and the concept of yourself that you want to build, forgiveness, letting go, and then create a plan for each day and hold yourself accountable to that plan. And this is what I do in coaching. So I have my clients send me their to-do list in the morning and their to-do list at night. Okay. And we check in the morning, at nighttime. What was your plan for the day? What did you complete? What is your plan for this week? What are you completing? How are you getting on top of your fitness? How are you maintaining this alignment? And I'll give reading assignments too, because you have to see that you have to become the change. And so when we're stuck, we're not taking action, purposeful action in our life to get out of where we are. And the first purposeful action is to accept where you are, to allow it. Okay, so I'm not feeling good, and I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to bring that, instead of fighting it and not feeling good about it, I'm going to become okay with it. And then I'm going to meditate, allow myself to feel those things, shift my thoughts, create a plan, hold myself accountable. When things pop up, check in with somebody. So you can have a therapist or a coach or a friend that can give you perspective as to maybe how your perception or how you're viewing the situation isn't helping move you forward. And it's through that constant realignment that you're going to see those changes. Okay. All right. Yeah. Great advice. Yeah. So this is what I specifically work on with people when they book coaching with me, is to create those tools and those plans to get you into a better space. Right. And it's always really fun when I see clients get to this. There's this, you just get into a space where you feel really good with yourself and everything's unfolding and you're on top of your productivity and you're getting all the things that you want done every day, and your life just starts changing. And that's like my favorite part. Because yeah, it can be a little bit rocky on the road back to that version of yourself. But once you get there and once you feel good and these things are unfolding, it's very exciting for me to see that change too. Okay. Alrighty, everybody. So we're coming up on an hour now. Thank you so much for giving me your time and attention. Thank you so much for hitting the thumbs up and subscribing. And I will see you all in my next live stream. I am going to be putting out some meditations, and I may do a podcast today as well too. Okay. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely end of your weekend and an amazing start to this upcoming week. Bye.